Hey guys, look, before I get started, I know it's another car video. A lot of you have probably subscribed to watch game videos and stuff about Arcade 1-Up, maybe some stereo stuff. I'm gonna get back to that. Just right now, I'm working on this, and I figure while I'm doing it, I might as well shoot some videos so that if other people run into the same thing that I do, the content's out there. Unfortunately, this car doesn't have... I dropped my beverage. Unfortunately, this car doesn't have a whole ton of videos and help out there for it, so I kind of want to, help other people. At any rate, I will get back to the gaming content, to the stereo stuff, to the stuff that you guys have probably subscribed for. Stuff like this will be in there every once in a while as it comes up, because I don't want to lose the opportunity to help somebody else. Well, that being said, put that crankshaft position sensor in here. It fixed the stalls. The car's running considerably better. I still keep getting a camshaft position sensor warning though. So there's still something wrong. And this one is a small thing that's turned into a big thing. Well, let's dig in. Hold my Monster Ultra Paradise. As I said in the intro, after replacing the crankshaft position sensor, the car's been running much better. However, after a couple of days, I start to get a new code. And it's a code that I had before, actually. It's P0340. It's a camshaft position sensor code. Mechanic actually already replaced the sensor and inspected a whole bunch of wiring and everything to try to fix that, which actually is all the way back at the back of the engine. And that requires them to take off this entire wiper housing, the wipers themselves, all kinds of stuff to be able to get to it. So that's not a cheap fix. Well, this code's still there, and it's kind of, coming and going. So I took the thing into the Cadillac dealership, and now know what the problem really is. What the dealership found is this piece right here is leaking. And it's leaking pretty bad, actually. It seems like that leak's gotten worse here recently. Which, okay, great, I got a coolant leak. What's that got to do with a camshaft position sensor all the way back there? Well, Cadillac has positioned the ECU, hopefully you can see it, right down in here, which is right under this hose that's leaking. So that's leaked into the connector there, which apparently is not completely watertight, corroded pins on the ECU, and the connector itself to the wiring harness. So Cadillac wants to replace the ECU itself and repin the connector on the wiring harness, splicing in new wires to remove the corrosion. Well, all that's going to cost like $2,200. Yeah. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this hose myself, which I'm not going to really show you guys that. There's a great video already out there that some guy did, so I'll link that one in the description. But I'm going to try to take that ECU out, take those connectors, and just really try to clean them up, see if I can get a better connection. Because this check engine light only happens sometimes. It's not all the time. And I'm wondering if it's actually when the coolant's getting in there itself. So hopefully if I clean that connector up, I'm good to go. And I saved $2,200. If it doesn't work out that way, what's going to end up happening is, well, I've wasted some of my time and a little bit of money on some cleaner. So not a huge deal. Then I have to take it to the dealer and give them the money to do all the work they want to do. But let's hope the simple fix does it. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. If you guys run into this problem, hopefully if this works for me, it might work for you as well. All right, let's get started. Here's where we're at. I took the cover off the engine primarily just to get the hose out of the way here. So that's why you see that missing, because that hose connected to here and here and then down underneath here. So we got to get this ECU out of here. And to do so, it seems like it's going to be a little bit easier if I move this over to the right. I did see it at the shop when they had it apart, and that's what they had done as well. Is they had taken this off of the throttle body and moved it over to the right here. So I'm gonna do that, which it looks like you can see right here. There's like a ring that locks this in place. So I don't know if there's an appropriate tool for trying to loosen this ring, but I'm going to take a screwdriver, put it in this notch, and see if I can turn it that way, because it seems like I can kind of turn it by hand a little bit. See, it moves fairly easily, so hopefully the screwdriver will let me do that. All right, so I was right, this ring here just turns. It was actually pretty easy to turn, and that comes right off the throttle body. Now, the throttle body here, I have this towel inside of to keep anything from falling down in there. Always a good idea anytime you have something open on the engine to go ahead and kind of close it off, right? You don't want any debris or tools or sockets or something to get down in there. With that out of the way, we can actually kind of get a better look at the ECU back in here, and you can see the wires there, the clips. And then over here, you can see these black clips here, which I think are holding the ECU in place. I haven't found any bolts or nuts or anything holding it in place. I don't know if it's just those clips, but we'll see if we can get it out here. All right, so I have determined that these black clips back here are actually how you remove the ECU. However, I can't get it out with the cable still in place, so I'm going to go ahead and take those off. So to do that, there's this little red nubbin right here. You slide that backwards, okay? And then this actually pulls up. You got to push right here. So you push there, and then you pull up, and you see that latch right there? That comes up. Swing that over, and then the connector should be loose, and you just kind of wiggle it out, which is really hard to do while holding a camera, but there you go. So that's how you get these off. All right, so here we have the 3 cables removed from the ECU, and you can see this one right here, which got marked with a B, so that was the bottom one. You can see where there's been intrusion there of liquid now. The shop said that it was that coolant, and I'm inclined to believe them because it is right below where that leak was. It's kind of doesn't look like the right color for the coolant, but you can see there that it's gotten into there. So we'll go ahead and get the ECU out next, and should come out pretty easily now without those cables. Just these clips right over here. Just got to press them, and the whole thing will pop out. So I'll get that done. To clean the ECU, the first thing I did was take a paper towel and really kind of try to dry up down inside here any liquid that's in there. The next thing I'm going to do is just take some canned air and try to blow all this stuff out of here. I really want to get as much debris out of here as I can before I start really trying to clean it. So I'm going to go ahead and probably do that off camera. It's a little hard to do that while holding the camera. Now that I got the debris blown out of there, you can see how dirty this thing actually is. So, I mean, this outside heatsink, of course, it's pretty filthy from having been in the car. But, looking down in the connectors here, the blue one seems all right. The black one, that one mostly seems okay as well. Now, but the gray one, you can see not so good. And some of these have like a bit of a green tint to it. Not sure if that's coming up on the video very well. And still awfully wet down in there. So really gonna have to get that dried out and cleaned up. For cleaning the connectors, I'm using this CRC QD electronic cleaner. So this is supposed to be safe on plastic, and it should hopefully not hurt any of the clips or anything here. I also have a toothbrush, and I picked up it's a carburetor cleaning set, but has all kinds of different brushes and stuff that might help me mainly with getting down into these connectors here. So we'll spray it out with this and try to kind of clean it up with some of the brushes and just make sure we're getting rid of any debris as we go along. Now, one thing I would suggest is wear safety glasses for this. I didn't think I had to do that when spraying it out with the canned air, and a whole bunch of stuff like blew back in my face. So you should probably wear safety glasses for that as well. But here we go. Let's see. just see on this black one here what it does with just the outside of this. Oh yeah, you can see how that just really just kind of blasted that stuff out of there. So we'll go ahead and really clean up the inside of these and see how this turns out. Just from cleaning the inside of that gray one, you can see how dirty this toothbrush has gotten. So there was definitely a lot of gunk in there. There's still a lot more that I need to clean out. You can really see on these pins over here how bad they are. So definitely still a lot more cleaning to do. But boy, I already took quite a bit out of there. So we'll maybe let that sit, let the stuff work on it a little bit here, and try to come back at it again. I was able to get the gray clip off, and you can see all the corrosion that's down in here. All that green is really not good. So we'll try to spray that out and see if we can make some headway on that. Bit of a tip here for you. I can't see it this well with my naked eye. So utilizing the camera on my phone, I'm actually able to see down in here better to see what I still need to clean up. Now it's hard to try to clean it while holding the camera. I mean, you can see just how small these things are, because look at the size of this brush. So it's yeah, it's really hard to see without anything magnifying it. So maybe, you know, magnifying glass or something, but the camera on your phone might be a handy tool for looking at this as you clean it up. Alright, so made several passes here trying to clean these contacts up, and they're quite a bit better. You can still see a little of the corrosion down at the bottom of that one, and then down inside of that one right there. So you can see how tiny these things are, and I'm using this tiny little throttle body cleaner there. You want to make sure that you don't stretch these things out as you're sticking something in it to clean it. So make sure that you use something that's small enough to not damage them any further than they already are. Alright, I'll keep working at it and come back here. Alright, we're looking quite a bit better here. You can still see slight bits of green in some places. I've done about all I can to get that cleaned up. I think any more than this, I'm going to risk damaging the connector worse. So should be better than it was, and I think I'm going to be good with trying it that way. We'll move on to the other connectors and check those out. But before I do want to put this gray plastic piece back on here. That way I can tell them apart and don't end up getting these things mixed up somehow. So we'll do that, and I'll actually show you how to take one of these off. To get these connector covers off, you can see right there, there's just a little spot you can put a screwdriver in to pry it up. Now you want to do that very gently, and there's one on the other side, so kind of alternate between the two. You don't want to break this piece, but it's kind of necessary to take it off to actually inspect the plugs. The black one looks a lot cleaner than the gray one. Don't really see any corrosion in here. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the parts cleaner though, just to make sure to clean that out. Both the gray and the black connectors, these plates came off of them just fine without a problem. But for some reason this blue one, when I tried to take it off, you can, boy, if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus in. You can see it actually, that plastic started to break there where you would insert the screwdriver, and it did it on both sides. Now this one was by far the cleanest on the ECU, so I really didn't see any corrosion there. So I think I'm just going to spray this out with the electronics cleaner and just let this one go, because this doesn't seem to be where the problem is. It really was that gray one that was the problem. But I don't want to break this any further. I'm going to do a little extra cleanup kind of just around these connectors here with just some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. Just a tip for you though, always put your rubbing alcohol in another container. Don't take your Q-tip and stick it into the bottle of rubbing alcohol. You just don't want to get any contaminants and gunk in there. I don't know that cleaning this up matters. Obviously this thing is exposed to elements and everything under the hood, but I don't know, I just really wanted this to be clean around these connectors before I put this back in here. The ECU is now significantly cleaner. as are the clips that plug into it. Now, one thing I'm going to try to do to keep from getting liquid back in here again is this stuff called dielectric grease. Now, the idea with this is that it does not conduct electricity. It also insulates and helps to prevent moisture from getting in. Because of that, though, because of the insulation, because of the fact that it does not conduct electricity, I want to be a little careful with this. Now, people have told me that, you know, if I put it in here and then plug the plug in, it's going to push it out of the way so that the plug will still make good contact. But I worry about that, right? I mean, it's very important that this makes really good contact. So instead, what I'm going to try to do is actually just get it right around the edge down in here so that when the plug is seated down in, it helps to create a seal down at the bottom. Then I'll also put it inside the plug for the part that makes contact here so that when you put the plug on, that will hopefully help seal there a little bit as well. But I'm going to try not to get it on the tops of the pins, or at least very minimal on the pins itself, so that it can't interfere with the electrical connection. So we'll see how this works. On the top of the container here, it actually rotates for max and minimum amount. So I'm going to rotate this to where I get the minimum amount, so I'm not putting a whole ton down in there. Well, even on the minimum setting, that stuff came out really fast. I don't think I'm going to do it on these other two plugs here. Those ones really didn't have the liquid in them like the bottom one. I'm going to go ahead and leave this and hope that it does push out of the way like people have said. For the other ones, I'm going to apply it to the connector so that when it comes down, hopefully it seals around here, but I'm not going to be putting it inside of here. Trying to finagle this thing in and out of here is no joke. Since I had my coolant drained, I wish I had removed this radiator hose. If you're going to be draining your coolant, I'd suggest removing the radiator hose. It would certainly make this a lot easier, but I'm this far getting it back in. I'm going to try to do it without removing that hose. I have the ECU back in, so I'm going to start hooking these cables back up. So this is what I was talking about doing with that dielectric grease. I've just put it around the perimeter of this cable. Now this is also supposed to help with arcing. You can see on here, I don't know if that discoloration is just from the coolant being in there or if that's a burn. It almost looks like a scorch mark to me, which could be caused by connections being made between the different contact points and creating an arc. So having this in there should hopefully help to prevent that as well. Alright, that bad boy's back in place and hooked up. So now just need to get everything put back, throttle body back together, and get the new hose in here, some fluid in here, and connect the battery back up. Say a little prayer that it starts. Now, hopefully next time you see me, I'll have a running car. It's alive! It's been a little bit more than a week since I cleaned all the corrosion off of the computer and the wiring harness and fixed the leak in here. None of the check engine lights have came back. The car's been running great. It's running like a new car. So this was a huge thing. Doing this has greatly improved the situation. So between the new crankshaft position sensor and doing this, I couldn't be happier with how the car's running. Now I don't know, the crankshaft position sensor, maybe it got shot because of what was going on with the wiring harness here. It sure looked to me like those were burn marks or scorch marks on that one connector. So I'm guessing that there's been arcing in there, which that can't be good, right? Maybe that shot that sensor. I don't know. This definitely was a problem though. And seriously guys, you know, from my experience, even if you got a small leak in your coolant system, take care of it. I never thought that that little small leak would create such a big problem, but boy did it. And the dealership, you know, they wanted to repin the wiring harness and everything. So hopefully what I've done means I won't have to have that done, because that was going to be super expensive. Now, if you guys do undertake something like this yourself, please do your research. I'm not a mechanic. I'm just showing you how I did it, right? There might be better ways to do it. I've since came across another product called Deoxit. I don't know if it's better than the one that I used, but some people swear by it, so maybe look into that. Well, thanks for watching, guys. You know, hopefully this helps somebody out there. That's the whole reason I'm shooting this video. Like I said, this isn't, you know, the normal content that I have on my channel. But anytime I got something going on that doing it might help somebody else, I want to put that out there because I really do enjoy helping people. Well, if you found the video helpful, informative, or I don't know, whatever, you just hit that like button. If you didn't like it, please let me know in the comments why. I always want to do better. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic day.